Log into gyroscopeme.com, the hottest online radio station in the world. GS Radio all day, all night, worldwide. Powered by Gyroscope Media Group, LLC.
In the beginning, there was Jack, and Jack had a groove. And after a while, a deep sleep fell upon him, and he went looking for a new groove. He began looking for a new nation, and it had to be a soulful nation. And he found it, and it was Soulful House Nation. And he saw a building. It was a tall building. It had 10 stories, and he entered the building and got on the elevator and pushed the 10th floor, but it stopped on the 8th floor. And that's where he found his new groove. And he began to jack and jack and jack and jack, and he knew that this was it. It was Soulful House Nation on the 8th floor. Get ready, get ready, get ready.
Talk to you about that in a minute, but just so you know, I'd just like to go over to just go check back and check last week's show. We had a great show last week. We had Gerald Roney. Gerald Roney is the gentleman who was the architect behind Zanzibar. He's the one who made Zanzibar hot. He also was an owner of Brokers, and he helped with Club America Sensation, and also to Club 88, the sound. I mean, so that was a great interview. So this week, we have we're gonna do like we're gonna play the number one song according to Track Source in the house music category. Then the second thing, Soulful House, and then we're gonna do some updates, and we'll play old school. And we're gonna bring on our special guest, Ray. Well, I'm super excited about that. So listen, what I'm gonna do is just take a moment. And we're going to, I always like to do this. I want to thank Chuck Roberts for doing our intro drop. As you know, Chuck Roberts is the one who made the in the beginning there was Jack. So, thank him for that. Second thing is King T Finesse and Ariel Shante for creating our theme song. Now, what I want to do is play the number one song according to Track Source in Soulful House category. But as usual, we only play a snippet because Facebook has this nasty little habit of shutting us down and muting us out. So this track is by Louis Vega, and the artist on it is Kamal. And it's called Tonight. And it's been number week. This is the second week in a row. So chat, play a little bit of snippet for us, and then we're going to go to the next phase here. Some updates. Here we go. Okay, so listen, let me just give you a little bit of updates. This weekend was a spectacular weekend. As you know, many of you know that this weekend there was Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park in Newark. I just want to give a big shout out to all the people, especially on the administrative side, who help us make everything work. That's Anthony Smith, also to Anitra. Those were two people that you don't see them necessarily, but they run and make this thing run smoothly. So I want to thank them. Also, too, I want to give a big shout out to Deep House Magazine, which I'm a part of the marketing and interview staff. And we had some great interviews. So big shout out to George Aiken and also the team that you don't see behind things. Dawn was there, and Dawn is the editor-in-chief. She was there. Just want to give a big shout out to them. They all helped make this thing wonderful. And what's great about it is we got some great interviews, and we're going to be able to share that with you down the road. Also, too, we line up some more people, also more people for the show. I also, too, had a chance to interview DJ Beloved. Okay, help me if I forget somebody. Jihad Muhammad. Okay, a diva from Patterson. All right, that was a great interview. She had a great performance. Crystal Waters. Also, I did not know she's from Jersey, and she put on a great performance. All right, then also too, I had a chance to call DJ Fauzi, who opened up. Also interviewed DJ D. Boyd, also DJ Amir Brooks. Also, I interviewed Eddie Nicholas, who, by the way, was the first person to ever give me an interview, period. Interviewed him. And then, God help me if I forgot somebody. Please forgive me if I did. So that was wonderful. The performances were amazing. I had a great time. I was just connecting with so many people. It was almost like a little reunion there, too. And I saw a lot of people there. I'm with Ray. Ray has events coming up, and we're going to leave those when we have a conversation with him. Also, August 3rd, which is this Saturday, Jihad Muhammad is going to be doing another event in the Veterans Memorial Park, and also look for new music from him. He got new music coming out. Now listen to this combination: Mark Francis, Mark Lewis, Beloved, and Jihad on one mini LP. Do I need to say anything else? That's happening. Okay, I'm not even going to tell you we're doing August 5th, August 12th. We have Lionel Leach coming on. Lionel Leach is the organizer of the Weequahic Park House Music Festival. I am not going to tell you who the special guest is going to be with him. He's going to bring somebody, a special guest. I'm going to give you one hint. I've interviewed him a few years back, but he's a very, very important person in this house music community. Next, on August 19th, I have Susan Estera. I'm interviewing her. She does lights. She also is a DJ. She works with Jihad Muhammad. So she's going to be a good interview. On August 24th, SMB is having their 10-year anniversary. So it's 10 years they've been in the house music. I'm going to say house music business. That's after working in the past on other ventures. But he's going to, August 24th, they're having their event. August 31st, we are having, doing something with House the Runway. I'm going to be DJing. Cool Lou's going to be there. We're going to have a House to Runway fashion show. That's going to be really good. It's going to be an outdoor event. We'll be able to have food and stuff like that. You're going to see more and more flyers and promotion. And also, too, you're going to have to register on Eventbrite. Also, too, you'll be able to get food and stuff there. So it's going to be like a great, great time, a great, great show. So that's August 31st. You're going to have DJ Storm DJing. You're going to have DJ Cool Lou DJing, and I'm going to DJ. So it's going to be like this and like that and like that and all right. So now, a lot of new music coming out. Just be aware of that. A lot of good music coming out all the time. So listen, Chuck, let's play our old school song of the week. As usually, we're going to play a snippet, and then we're going to bring in our special guest, Ray. Ray Jamboree. Now, I got to tell you, well, I'll tell you when we finish this. So play a little, and then we'll cut it short. For some usual. Get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Dan, Soulful House Nation, coming to you live from the 8th floor. I am the unusual suspect. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited to get Ray Jamboree on the line here. You know, but before we get started, before I actually met you, I heard about you for 4 or 5 years, all right? And I was saying to myself, I would love to bring him on the show if he's open to it. And I always say if he's open to it because, you know, when you get to your level and stuff like that, now, hey, a lot of people are like, listen, I'm not fooling with you. But you know what? I'm glad you said yes. And listen, I've been watching you from afar. And hey, listen, what you've been doing is incredible. So what I want to do is just take a minute, like we do, just open it up with a few little basics, and just, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, background, that kind of stuff like that.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you to everyone who's on the show. My name is Ray. Most know me as Lil Ray in the industry. I don't know what level you're talking about, but okay. But who am I? Where am I? What am I? I'm located in Brooklyn, New York City. I was born in Jamaica. Got here in 1979 for good. So always visit throughout the 70s. But migrated for good here in 1979 and went on to college and what have you in Springfield, Mass. And then returned back to Brooklyn, New York. I've been around this house music scene before it was known as house music. I guess when it was known as club music, or what we used to call underground club music. And just one thing led to another where I just decided to get involved. I was always involved, especially in college. During college, I spent time for 4 years, always around music. I was a reggae DJ on my college radio station for 4 years there. The station actually became top 1500 in the U.S. And my show, which was a reggae show on Tuesday nights, and then it became so big for Tuesday night, they moved into Friday night, and they moved into Saturday nights, and we took over Springfield, Mass, I would like to say. But then I moved back home to New York City, and just one thing led to another where I just always, like I said, around the music, got involved with the music, got involved with house music, club music. At the time, because like I said, it was music, and my father is where I get my influence from as far as music. He always had music in the house, always playing music. So, and we always were going to parties and various different things. So that's a little bit about my background.
Now, how did you get into house music?
Okay, I guess I guess house music. It would be how did house music evolve um, throughout the years. And like I said, in '82, I was introduced to the Paradise Garage by two really good friends. I call them my great friends, Mia and Leah, and they took me to a garage when I was going to college, actually, with Mia, and Mia now is Mia Phillips, DJ Mia Phillips. So we were college buddies, and she's like, Ray, you need to come when you get home, or you need to come to this club. Now I've heard of the garage before that because there was an older guy around our neighborhood. We would be like, where you going, man? Where you going? And he's like, don't worry about it. And he's like, oh, his brother used to say, oh, he's going to this club called the Garage, And I'm like, whatever, And we were going to a lot of reggae clubs and what have you. Then as I got out of college, or as I said, while I was still in college, I graduated college in '85. And we used to drive down from Springfield, Mass. To go to the Paradise Garage almost every Friday, or as many Fridays as we could. Let's just say Hertz Rent-A-Car gave me a credit card, which was a wrong thing to do. And we would just get a Hertz Rent-A-Car, and we were driving back and forth, come down on Friday, go back on Sunday. I remember even for our membership, we drove down in the week. We left classes, drove down, because membership back then used to be given out, I think, on Wednesday, either Tuesday and Wednesday. And we came down, we got our membership, and we drove back up. And just one thing led to another. After the garage closed, by this time I graduated. Right before garage closed, '85 was like the influx of this house music craze coming out of Chicago into New York. Larry LeBand was playing most of whatever was coming out of Chicago. And from what we understood, later on, history proved that or showed us, Larry was obviously very good friends or best friends with Frankie Knuckles. And Larry was getting a lot of his products, the house music products, coming out of Chicago through Frankie and other people. So whatever was coming out, they were playing it in the garage. And we were still calling it club music. We still call it, the underground music. We call it underground music because the garage to us was the underground mecca. It was a club where you hear music you never heard anywhere else. So we call it underground. And club music because it was the only music that was played in the club. And so, how did I get involved? I think one time I went to a party, and throughout my entire history, this is me. I will never do a party. I don't think I would ever do a party unless I feel it is necessary. So I went to a party, and it was okay and what have you. And I'm like, I could do this, and I could do probably better than this, but I could do this. And this probably was going back in 84, 85. And I started doing parties at my house. And then I hooked up with the House Nation crew, with Hector Cruz and all the guys and ladies. And we started doing some of the hottest parties around New York City with House Nation. We predate by a few years, not a lot, but we predate Wild Pitch, So I started just doing parties with House Nation, doing parties with other crews and stuff like that. And that's how I got into it. And every time I try to get out, it keeps pulling me back in.
Just pull it back in. Well, let me ask you this. Ray, most people hear music and they're content with that. Most people will hear and maybe dance to music and they're content with that. But what made you decide that, hey, listen, first of all, not only Well, I understand how you say you got into the promoting part, but what made you decide that you were going to DJ instead of just putting the party together, just hanging out or whatever, dancing or whatever? I mean, what motivated you to do that?
That's a really good question because I don't know if I decided. It's not like I sat down one day and say I should DJ. You know, it just happened, I guess, naturally, especially during the House Nation days. Because even when I started doing parties, I never was the guy who DJ. Because I really appreciate those who DJ. I really appreciate those who play really good music and who present good music to make a party rock. So I've always enjoyed that, and I think I was always, even in college, I was always the guy behind the scenes, put together the parties. I would DJ even in college at our college parties, you know, only because, okay, maybe we couldn't get this DJ or that DJ. So it's like, oh, Ray, you got some music. Why don't you play? You know, it has always been like that. I mean, I am, I guess, the guy who, you know, I'll give you a good story. I mean, I did a party in Miami once, and you know, I had all these DJs on the bill. I had Quentin Harris, I had a few other DJs, and I was supposed to play like end the party. And at the same time, DJ Spinner walked in the party, and he said, "Listen, they just closed my party down in Miami, and you know, they raided it, what have you." And he lifted up his CD books. That's what back then we were using CDs. He lifted up his book, and I was queuing up my first record, and I said, "Come on, you got the party," you know, because I like in the moment. I like a party jumping, and if I can't do it, and I feel like someone else can, I make it fun. You know, even if I'm on the bill, I could be playing, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not feeling it tonight. And I see somebody else over in the corner who is ready and what have you. And especially in this day and age, this is why you always walk with your flash drives and be ready. You never know what can happen. You just never know. You know, so I am that promoter, that party planner, that person who would say, "Hey, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. You want to play?" You know, because it was done to me. It was done to me back in the days, and I've seen it done with some of the biggest DJs. I've shared the decks with Larry Levan. I've shared the decks with Tony Humphries. I've shared the decks with many people, and I've seen it done. I've seen them do it. I've seen, you know, where they may, you know, I'm not saying a Tony or a Larry, but people of that caliber, where they may say, "Well, hey, you jump on," you know, or you know, it could be a simple thing like back in the days when people used to cut records and bring the record to the club, and they say, "Hey, I just cut this," and the DJ takes the record, look at it, put it on, listen, and play it. You know, there's no need to plan a party and it have to go A, B, C, D. So
Right.
A, X, Q, S, you know, and that's what makes for a good party. So to finish answering that question, I never really set out to be the DJ. And I'm still not set out to be the DJ. I'm more set out to be the planner of a good time.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about DJ influences? Since you did grace the tables and you still do grace the table, who were some of your early influences in terms of?
Well, my early influences obviously came from the reggae world. So I've been around some of the, you know, back in the 70s, going out to some of these bigger parties with bigger sound system, Taurus International in Jamaica, and all these various different sound systems. Then come here, I used to go listen to Rhodes International, you know, at Village Hut and things like that. And then as far as in the house music world, club world, obviously my number one influence was Larry Levan. I just remember walking into the garage for the first time, and it blew me away. That's number one. I even remember everything about that first night, I am not the one who have the memory of an elephant at all. Okay, but I remember it was such a profound experience, and one of the things that stuck out to me is that he would play music. Yeah, you had the club music of the day, but then he would play music, and I'm like, wait a minute, my father used to play this. Oh, I know that artist. Oh, that's Al Green. Oh, that's So he really used to weave in and out of various different genres, and of course, also rip your head off with the newest music. So he was definitely my number one influence. Other influences of mine were people like from New Jersey, Tony Humphries, obviously. Love. You have Francois K. Francois. I mean, to me, Francois is a top 5 DJ. And it's always stayed that way over the years. Obviously, I love Timmy Regisford. And then even on the other spectrum, I like guys like a Ted Patterson. I like guys like even a Carl Cox. Definitely like Black Coffee and what he's been doing now. And just it's just so many DJs out there that I am in awe of. Even this weekend, I went and I was at Lincoln Park Festival where you were this weekend, and I got to experience Hippie Torales, who I've known for many years, heard for many years, and to know that he's been playing for over 40 years, and
right.
he's still just this weekend, just this Saturday, sounded just fresh and new and just amazing. I love people like Ultra Nate, and then I like a lot of the newer guys now, the Beloved, Amir Brooks, a lot of these new guys. So I really love what I'm hearing, but a lot of my influences obviously come from the old school, and guys like even names that you may not hear too often, like Kenton Nix as a producer and used to be DJ, and these guys, who've been around. Merlin Bob, oh my God, there's nobody in the business that mixes 2 records better than Merlin Bob. Okay, maybe I always say my 2 best mixers, true, just mix, give them 2 records, 3 records, and they'll mix it from this morning till the afternoon would be Merlin Bob and Louis Vega.
Okay.
Those 2 guys are some of the smoothest.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wow. Speaking of Merlin Bob, I interviewed him, and I've had communications after that with him. He's I got to tell you, very, very nice person, very, very warm, very giving.
Yep.
So, you've been knocking things out of the park here. Any DJs that you played with or on your bucket list? And how about places you played, and is there any place on your bucket list?
A person to play with on my bucket list? Who wouldn't want to play with Black Coffee, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who wouldn't want to play with Danny Tenaglia? Who wouldn't want to play with Carl Cox? Guys like that. That would be on. But it's not about playing. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't look at it as want to play with them as far as. But they're on my bucket list as individuals I would want to book. As a promoter, because those are guys that you could put them in front, even though Carl Cox played more of a harder techno type sound. Mm-hmm. I've heard him play at in a smaller club in New York City, and he ripped it. So and these are, I call them my chameleon DJs. You put them in front of any crowd, and they can deliver. They will deliver. Mm-hmm. I played with other guys. I played with Louis. I played with all these other guys, and they're still on my bucket list. They're still on my bucket. I still want to play with a Louis Vega. I still want to play with, Tony Humphries. I still want to play with these guys. So those are always my bucket list topics. As far as where in the world I would want to play, if I had a choice, obviously I would love to one day go and visit and maybe play in Ibiza. Definitely London. I would say those are my two places, Ibiza and London. And then now I'm watching the Paris Olympics, and it just sounds like all they do is play house music over there. A club over there that I would really want to play at is a Rex Club.
Oh, okay.
In Paris, as well as Dijon.
Okay. Now, here's something interesting. All right, you mentioned Paris. Now they have a breakdancing as a competition now in Paris, which I think is pretty interesting. Now, this just popped into my head as we're talking. If you look at house music, like we really do have basic dances that we do and or warm up, but the other thing too is that a lot of people can and will dance to house music and break dance and whatever. They don't necessarily have to use hip hop. So I just, hey, maybe one day we'll be, minding our own business and they go, boom, house music is now anyway.
Well, the thing, where that comes from, you got to remember the history of breakdancing music, just music in New York City. I'm a New York City boy, but like all New York City folks, we don't claim anything, but we know we did it. Okay, but you got to look back at the history of breakdancing in New York City and where that came from. It came from the street. Yes, hip hop was around, or back then they called it rap when it first came out, but hip hop was around. But where did breakdancing come from? Just think of the word, the break beats. Where are most of the break beats from? Disco records. They came out of disco. So, and then disco led into dance music, led into club music, led into, we could sit here and debate that forever. And I've seen, every time I see those topics come up, I just leave them alone. But, so as far as the older heads who used to break dance, the same exact music that they were break dancing to was being played at the Fun House by Jelly Bean and being played by Larry Levan in the Paradise Garage. And then also being played in the parks by guys like Flowers and those guys in the park, in New York City. So, and Kool Herc and all them guys. So that was, it's I hate when people put things in boxes. And then later on I call it Columbus. They Columbus a term and they say this is breakdancing music. It's all music. A break dancer can dance to anything.
Right.
And a house. I hate to even say a house dancer because what is that? We came up dancing. We just danced. There was no house dancing. Everyone had their own creative dance. They were all different. It was their own interpretation of what the music is doing to them. So, but breakdancing is an art form, but it came out of everything that we know. Same music, Jimmy Castro Bunch, which is one of the biggest breakdancing tunes. Where did it come out of? It came out of the garage, and it came out of the loft, and it came out of the Fun House. So it's all the same.
Now, okay, this is the question I like to ask every guest. I think it's going to have real pertinence because you came into this and you were into this music prior to it even being called house music. You were into this music, so not only from that standpoint, but as a DJ, but also as a promoter. So from your perspective, we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth later. You've been on the promotional side for, well, I would say more than 31 years because you were doing that prior to starting the Jamboree. Okay, how has this evolved? Where is it going? What's your sense of it versus when you first started? And we could talk about two parts of it, from the music, the people, and we could talk about the equipment. What's your take on it?
As far as from the, let's take the music side of it. The music side of it is very healthy. I know you have people my age and even older and who came from my world, you know, in the garage and the loft. Oh, the music sucks today. And music is not. They are lying. They are lying. They are lying. Okay. There's some music from 40 years ago you could play today that will rock a floor. But then there's some that don't need to be played today at all. Okay. There's also some brand new music that are out now that is just amazing. You have also, you know, back in my days, it used to be, did I say my days? Oh my God, it's not so old. But back then, you know, you used to have just a handful of DJs and producers that cornered the entire music, you know, our club music world. You know, every weekend or every Tuesday, it used to be Tuesday, Wednesday was new music week. You know, now every day is new music. And you have it brand new producers that are bringing out just some high quality music. And just like back then in the 80s, when we used to go to dance tracks and you know, all these other record stores to buy our music, just like then, you had a whole bunch of crap, okay, to choose from, okay, a whole lot of it. Well, it's the same thing now, but music is subjective. One man's crap is one man's best, you know, hottest tune, you know, for their dance floor. But what I love about the music now is that you have a lot of different producers who are coming out with fresh sounds. Now, where is it going? I think you still need more clubs. I think you still need more regular clubs, not parties, or I should say regular parties. I can't do it where I'm doing a party every weekend, but this is what is needed. You need a place, just like when we were coming up, we had places, not just one place. But you had the garage on any given weekend. You had the garage, you had the loft, you had Palladium, you had area, you had, you know, all the Studio 54. You had, I mean, easily. I mean, I have a list. I just saw a list the other day with easily about 30 different clubs every weekend. Every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We would start our weekend on Wednesday. We would go out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Try and recoup Monday and Tuesday, and then we're back again. But it used to be the same places. It wasn't like now where you have one-off parties. You know, I am never one to say, you always hear people say, oh, why can't all these promoters, there's so many parties, why can't everybody come together and talk and have, you know, just one party this week and one party next week? Because you will hate it. My vision is not your vision. My vision, even if I'm getting 300 to 500 people into a party, at least 200 of those people may want to hear something else, may want to have a different choice. So I think more choices is needed, but also, though, I think you need more true promoters, not a guy or a woman doing a party because they want to play. Oh, I want to play, so I'm going to do parties. You need true promoters who go out there and they, you know, like Becky Nunes. Becky Nunes is a true promoter. She's not looking to play no music. She's looking to put together an ass-kicking, you know, oh, sorry about that. She's looking to put together a really good program for that night, for that party. And I think that's probably what's missing, is that people are not paying attention to, okay, what do the people want to hear? And it doesn't have to be me every week. It can be, two of the hottest DJs and an act. That's the other thing. Over the years, we've always neglected in house music is the act portion of the party. The singers, okay, the dancers, maybe a dance troupe, maybe you have like a guy like who. You can't put a person like who in a box, because people say, well, what does he do? Does he DJ? Maybe. Does he sing? Maybe. He's producing live on stage as he's performing. He's a performing artist. So these are the things that's kind of missing, where we have to try and get back to that, instead of just, okay, I'm not getting booked, so I want to do a party, and so I'm going to do the party for me to DJ. Maybe nobody want to hear you DJ, but maybe you can do a very good party. Maybe you're very, very good at throwing parties and bringing people together, but maybe nobody want to hear you DJ.
Okay.
That doesn't mean there's not room for you in this whole realm of partying experience.
Okay. Ray, I want to just go a little bit deeper with this for a minute. Okay. Now, a couple things that you said stuck out to me. Okay, number one, you mentioned that it's mostly one-off, is what you see. Back in the day, there used to be the super clubs. You mentioned like those places. But you really don't see that anymore. So my question to you is, and what's your thoughts on this? Why has, at least for the most part, the super clubs gone away? Why? That's the first part of the question. Why? I mean, where are the Studio 54s? Where are the garages? Where are the Palladiums?
The reason for that is pure economics.
Okay.
It's difficult. It is difficult. You take let's say the Paradise Garage. The person behind that was Michael Brody. He was a man of some means, okay, who loved this thing. A lot of these club owners let me say this. Most club owners who go into doing a club, they actually love it. They love the nightlife. But also, too, they have to make a business from the nightlife, okay? With the real estate prices, rentals, most of the clubs, they're not owned outright. They're rented, okay? I know a guy right now, the guy where I'm going to do this party on Friday night. He loves house music, loves it, okay? It's in his blood, it's everything. He can even play better than most. But he's so busy having to run a business, he doesn't even play anymore. And then you may walk in there on a Friday night and it's a raging house music party. But you may come back in the next Friday night and it's a hip hop party. And then the following Friday night is a trance party, because he needs to make business. It's a business, and his rent is not cheap. Rent is not cheap. The liquor is not cheap to purchase and stock the place and stuff like that. So it's really economics, especially when it comes down to these bigger clubs. I mean, think of how much it costs just to eat and cool your home. It has significantly gone up since even the 80s. Even since before COVID. So it's purely economics, and then behind the economics part of it, you need to have people who they love it. This is their heart, this is their soul. But then heart and soul can make you broke.
Listen, well, a buddy of mine and I often laugh that most of these events are running out of Hip National Bank. And the problem with that,
It
you know,
is.
yeah,
Your hip goes out. You got to have a hip surgery,
a hip replacement. I got
hip
you.
replacement. Sometimes the replacement don't take. So I totally understand.
Yeah, so yeah, you know, and yeah, it does. If you want to set up a really nice place and you want to make a place pop, there's like for example, last week I was talking with Joe Roney. He was the person who set up Zanzibar. He
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
But now here's what was,
Right.
okay, but here's what was interesting. One of the things is he said, which you just echoed. See, they were people of means, you see, and they could afford to set it up, but also too, obviously they wanted to take off right away. But if it didn't take off right away, they were still able to manage, keep true to the formula, et cetera, et cetera. And so, for example, like you mentioned, that one Friday they'll have house, next Friday they'll have hip hop, next Friday they'll have something else. Now, I guess if you can stay consistent with the same audience night after night, they know that that's house music night. I think that's a plus.
Yeah.
But if one night, and I'm making up these numbers, you have 300 people, and the next time you got 22 people, that's a problem.
And it happened. That definitely happened. Especially also, I mean, it didn't happen as much, let's say, in the 80s or the 90s, but then as our crowd age and take on more responsibilities and as well as get so fickle and finicky, you do have one night you have 300, 400 people, and another night you have 20 people.
Right.
It happens. Now, it takes deep pockets to sustain that, and to sustain that week in, week out, every single week. And this is why, you may hear some DJs may say, well, or some people may say, it's always the same guys getting booked. It's always the same DJ. Well, those same DJs put asses in the seats.
Gotcha.
And if you're not doing that, you could definitely, until you start to do that, you have to take on smaller parties. But for a guy running a major establishment, he has to go with what sells, what brings the heads in, in the house.
Right. Well, going again back to my buddy, we have this conversation all the time. They're like, okay, so Billy Bob has the goods, can play, but can he pull?
Welcome to my world.
But can she pull?
Welcome to my world. And then, you may also have where Billy Bob can play, but Billy Bob won't even do anything to promote themselves.
Right.
Your biggest promoter is you. Right. You're the one who, when you get up at nights to go to use the bathroom, you're thinking about you. Nobody's thinking about you. So you are your biggest promoter.
Right.
And I really respect those who decide to step out. Those who know me for many years, I've told quite a few people now who I see out there doing very, very well, hey, if you build it, they will come. You got to promote you. You got to believe in you. Don't worry about who doesn't come. Worry about who is in the house, who's there, and give them the best show and the best experience they have while they're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. But hey, it's like getting a plane off the ground. It's like getting a rocket ship off the ground. It's like if you're pumping water, getting the well water to come up. It's a hard thing, and most people quit or they can't sustain it during the launch. They can't get the thing.
You gotta just. What I would say to a young person or a person listening now who say I want to do that, or I'm trying, or I tried it a few times. It didn't come off the ground or what have you. You have to believe in you, and you have to believe in your vision of what you are selling. We're all selling. We're always all selling. And you got to believe, and selling is not a bad term.
Right.
You got to believe in you, and you got to believe in your product. And your product is really you.
Right.
And really, someone told me this a while ago. All it takes is to get 1,000 loyal followers. 1,000 loyal followers.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be in the party every week. 1,000 people ain't coming every week. But all you need is 1,000 to believe in you. And they will help spread the word to you.
There was actually a guy, I'm going to say his name is Kevin something, but actually wrote a book about that and said 1,000 true fans, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. You need 1,000. And you think
about 1,000. So for a person just starting out, do your thing. Always go back to the old-fashioned way. Also, make sure you're getting mailing lists. Make sure you're getting, well, in this days, email lists. Get people's contact information so that the next time you do something, those people who came, not running around, get the people who actually showed up for you. If it's 30 people who showed up for you, make sure you get all 30 information. And this way you continually, that's who is going to be your mouthpiece. Your 1,000 people is not, it's again, 1,000 supporters. They're not necessarily going to be the one who come to your event all the time. They're going to be your mouthpiece, your advertising. They're the ones who are going to tell others about you. Hey, I went over there, and that guy John, he really took care of us, man. You should go to his party. You coming? Nah, I can't make it this week. Nah, I'm out of town. But you should go there.
Right.
1,000 is. So as you're starting, you're building that. And you just continue building.
Yeah. Now, do you produce or have any plans to produce?
Production, no. I mean, I've it's funny. I've put together a few different artists with producers, namely Coffee with Quentin when she did Sounds of Africa. This is Africa. Me and her was in the studio together, and me and Quentin, I guess they call it writing the music, and I'm giving him ideas. He's like, "What do you think?" While she's in the background writing the whole thing. I mean, I've never seen. And she is very special. She wrote that whole thing there while Quentin and I was laying down the tracks. But as far as production, no, I've never produced. Well, I guess I can't say never. I've been in studios and what have you, given my ideas, but as far as credit, no. Do I have any that I want to? At this point, not really. It's not something I wake up and say, man, I got to produce a record. But never say never. If the moment is right, then I will.
Okay. Now, you got a lot of stuff coming up. Talk to us. I know you got the Brooklyn Frenzy. Talk to us about your upcoming events.
So, and thanks for this platform to tell those out there what's going on. I do the Brooklyn Frenzy, and this Friday night, August 2nd in Brooklyn, 290 Mesereau Street. Some people know the club as Now and Then. I will be doing the Brooklyn Frenzy Summer Sizzler with Herb Martin and Will Milton. Okay, there will be the two DJs that night. I'm looking to eventually branch that out to doing it more often. The next one after that I'm going to be doing will be on my birthday. My birthday is September 25th, but that's a Wednesday. So September either 27th or 28th is when I will do the next one, which will be my birthday party. But before that, And after this Brooklyn Frenzy will be the 31st annual Clubhouse Jamboree. And that comes up on September 8th. It's usually the second Sunday in September, the Sunday after Labor Day. And it's in Brooklyn, Prospect Park, at a place they call the Music Pagoda. It's next to the Boathouse in Prospect Park. So if you get to Prospect Park and you don't really know the layout of the land, just ask anyone, where is a Boathouse? And just follow the music. It goes from 12 noon until 7 p.m. The Brooklyn Frenzy this Friday is going from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's indoor with an outdoor area also. But that's a full club. Prospect Park obviously is the park. And this year, some of the DJs, I always like to give new talent and people who are on the rise. So this year, and pardon me, I'm looking up my flyer. I'm so, sometimes you got to make sure you get everyone, like, as you know, then. But this year, Jelly Bean Benitez will be there. But some of the younger guys is like a gentleman, PJS. Mr. Story been out there. I mean, if you're in Brooklyn, if you're in New York City, if you're in New Jersey, you gotta hear of DJS. And he's been really, really doing a lot of different events. One of the events that I heard him at recently was the Block Party in New Jersey. And he was fabulous there. You also have Stim Giesel. He's an up-and-coming producer. And also, he does a monthly party at Woody Lounge. I think they're taking off for a little bit this summer, but they should be back by the fall. You also have Alex Estevez. Now, Alex is my young DJ. I like doing a young DJ. I like doing, like 1 year, I remember booking the Martinez brothers when they were 14 and 16. So you have, this year I'm doing Alex Estevez, and then you also have Whiteout. Now, Whiteout is a very good friend of mine. He's from Chicago. Been playing on the scene in Chicago and all over for many, many years. So come on out. Like I say, it's from 12 noon to 7 p.m. Free event. Bring the whole family. Come through. It's just an event that's been going on for 31 years, and I guess people love it.
Now, how has it evolved over 31 years? I mean, you started then when I had, some bald.
When you had hair. Darker hair, like me.
That's it.
When we had darker hair. So it was an idea that came about, Paradise Garage had just closed in '87. It was, you had Wild Pitch, you had Afterlife going on, you had many different, Bourgeois, all these different parties going on in New York City, whole bunch of parties going on also in New Jersey. Shelter had just reopened, or just opened, I should say. We were doing this club called Behind Club Doors, and we were about to celebrate our first year anniversary, and it was a friend of ours, or a friend of the scene, who just so happened to be working in the Prospect Parks department, in the Prospect Park Alliance department, and he was a member of the Paradise Garage and just a house head, and he said, have you guys ever considered doing something outdoor? At the time, back then, going back 31 years, I know you can't believe it now with these 15 different parties every weekend outside, but it was the first of its kind. No one ever, outside of the skaters, okay, you had the skaters in Central Park that has been going on since 1972, but that's skating with music. But this was bringing what we did indoors, what we did in the clubs, bringing it outside. And the reason for the name, and that's why I even went earlier in the interview, we talked about club music and underground music and stuff like that, and then house, okay? And when we were trying to develop a name for it and what have you, we said, well, we call it club, they call it house, let's call it Clubhouse. And
Okay.
what we normally do, what's a good time outside? It's a jamboree. So we call it ClubHouse Jamboree. That's really how the name came about. And then how the idea came about, like I said, this gentleman named Kirk, he stepped to us and he said, and us meaning myself and my partner at the time, Kirk, and my other partner, Kim, at the time. She, all three of us, and two guys, one woman, and we decided to do this event. And part of doing it was we wanted, at that time, a lot of us, most of my friends, started having families. But they were still sneaking out, going to Wild Pitch, going to this club, and then coming back home, and their kids would be like, Daddy, Mommy, where you went, So we wanted something to show the kids. This is what Mommy and Daddy did. This is where we go. And that was how it came about. How it has evolved, I think, well, the first year, some people would say, oh, did you start out small and got bigger? Actually, we did. The first year, the Parks Department put the crowd at 1,500 people. And this was when we said, wow, I guess this is necessary. People want this. We started at the bandshell side, and part of the evolution of it was after 5 years, Brooklyn, BRIC, Brooklyn Redevelopment, whatever. They came in and they gave Prospect Park a lot of money to build up the bandshell area into a concert area. And so we were 5 years in the park already. And so our friends from the Prospect Park Alliance said, well, listen, we have this other side of the park. Do you want to go over there? When we went over there, I mean, let's just say it wasn't the ideal area, but over time we made it into the ideal area because it was a dump over there. But over time we made them dump monies into that area, and we also showed them how Prospect Park Alliance, that area that we're at right now, could be profitable for them. So that's how it has evolved over the years. It has gotten bigger. It has gotten, there's some years that it rained. We had a good stretch of run. We had about 25 years with no rain on the day. And then all of a sudden, maybe the last 3 out of 5 years, it rained. Last year was the hardest it ever rained. But people still came out because the rain stopped at 1. And people just came out like a bus load of people, just dropped them off. And they were in the park, and we had a good time. So it has evolved over the years into something of more of a family affair. It is not, I do put together a program of DJs and artists and so on. Oh, and by the way, Kenny Bobian will be performing this year, as well as Eddie Nichols will be performing. But it has evolved into just a real family affair with people coming from many different states as well as countries to come and participate. And I put together a DJ lineup and what have you, but I always say it has evolved into an event where it's not about the lineup. It's more about families and friends coming together.
Okay, now let me ask you this question as we get down to the wire here. Between me, you, and the wall here, over 31 years, have you ever said to yourself, this is a lot, this is too much? And if so, which by the laugh, I doubt it. Just kidding.
If so, what's the last part of your question?
What has kept you going when even like I can imagine after this is over, you're gonna feel relief, and and then you're gonna relax a little while, and then at some point it's gonna occur to you, you got to do this again. I mean, have you ever? Tell us about that, bro.
All right. So to answer your question, the first question, every year, every single year, okay, every single year. This is not something that this is not something that when it's done, I'm like, yeah, it's time to plan for next year. It's not something I look forward to, but it is something. In a way, I feel like I have to continue doing it because it has evolved. Part of the evolution also, it has evolved into something bigger than me. It is not just me anymore. It's, yes, I'm the one who planned the whole thing, but it is not, I say it's not my event anymore.
Gotcha.
What keeps me going? What keeps me going is at 5 p.m. every single year. And this is something someone told me many, many years ago, maybe over 20 years ago. And they always say, Ray, at some point you have to stop. You got to turn around and you have to look at the event. We as event producers have this thing where we're doing the event, and I'm sure any event, any little event or big event you do, the next day you said, what happened? I didn't even know this person was here. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I missed it, and I was there from the start. And so there was someone told me, they said, always take time to, even if you just go to a corner or go off to the side and stop what you're doing and look at the event. Look at it. Take it all in. And in a way, I'm not that kind of guy, but they said, give yourself a pat on the back. You did that. And so I make it a point, maybe about 20 years now, about that. And I make it a point to do that every year. And usually I do it around 5:30.
Okay.
And that's when the thing is, I call it runs on automatic. It's on automatic. It doesn't matter what I do anymore. It's running. If the music stops, it's going. Mm-hmm. So and what keeps me going is that when I look at it and I say, wow. So I still get the wow factor from it, and I get it on that day, and that's what I will always remember. From the year before, when I'm like, oh God, I got to raise funds. It's not like a New Jersey event where the mayor supports your event or wants you to do an event there, or you have vendors. My Prospect Park do not want vendors, okay? Or you have to pay gobs of money for a special permit for that. So I'm not making money from that. And then also too, we didn't start out. When we started out as this is a give back to the community. We're giving it back to it. Now, some people over the years that have chastised me in a nice way because they're concerned about me. But they have chastised me for, Ray, why don't you figure out how to make money from this? Why don't you figure out how to charge for this? Why don't you do this? I'm not comfortable with that yet. I'm not there yet. Even after 31 years, even after some years doing it on, blood, sweat, and tears. So right now we take donations. For those of you listening, if you want to do a donation, you could donate at GoFundMe. Just type in ClubHouse Jamboree. It will come up. ClubHouse Jamboree, the 31st ClubHouse Jamboree. You could donate at GoFundMe. Prefer you donating at GoFundMe. It's easier that way. I mean, you have I have all these other apps and what have you, Cash App and what have you, but just donate at GoFundMe. But that's what keeps me going. That's really what keeps me going, because I do like what I said when I started. I like a good party, and it's a really, really good party. And I take the time now to take a step back and look at it and enjoy it. And so that's what keeps me going.
All right. Well, listen, we're down to the wire here. For soft landing, anything you've learned along the way, and any final thoughts? And if people want to support you, how do they do it?
Learned along the way. I'm still learning. Still learning. You know? And I think that's very important that you continue to learn. I mean, like I did an event, tried to do a new venture with the Jamaica Frenzy, where we took people down to Nick Grill, Jamaica, and that turned out well for 2 years. But who knew that COVID was going to hit the world, you know? So that's a learning experience. Still learning from it. But, you know, part of learning is also fine-tuning, knowing to look yourself in the mirror and take, you know, I always say, if the event is a success, thank me. If it's a failure, blame me. I'm going to be the front taking, you know, that's why I do it. So learn to look yourself in the mirror and learn to criticize yourself also, but also learn to fine-tune different things of what you're doing. How they can contact me, you can always contact me. I do a Twitch show, DJ LILRAY Jamboree at twitch.tv. Whenever I can.
Okay.
I don't have a set schedule, especially in the summertime. Summertime is party, beach, and of course a few responsibilities, and then of course the jamboree. But then you can also contact me. I'm on Facebook at Lil Ray. I'm on Instagram at DJ Lil Ray Jamboree, and I'm around. I'm around, wow. And I'm still standing.
You know, despite a hip replacement. Now I got you.
There you go. I'm going through one right now. that hip replacement.
Okay. Hey, listen, Ray, thank you so much. Again, I've admired you from afar for years and known about you. And when I saw you at the block party, I said,
at the block party, yep.
I said it's now or never. And lucky, you know, and I thank you so much.
I've been watching what you've been doing too, you know, and I like these interviews. And you know, I think I caught the one with Merlin, which was very, very, very informative. And you know, I can't even say people overlook Merlin. No, they don't. But the younger people really need to understand, you know, what that man has done for this scene. And I'm so happy to see him coming back in, and he is even more open than even when he was, you know, building his world, you know, and he's ready to give back. And so that's really refreshing, you know, and I love what you have been doing with these interviews. I'm looking forward to see the interviews from Lincoln Park, because you had a who's who of individuals there. I really want to hear the interview with Adiba, because, you know, I've always been a fan of Adiba. And you know, please continue shining the light on those of us in this scene that are doing it and starting to do it. You know, trust me, it's very, very necessary. Like I say, some people, they may not be able to DJ, they may not be able to give parties, but there's always room for you in this scene. Okay, yeah. Always.
Yes. Well, listen, I just want to say thank you again so much for coming time and spending time with us. Like I say, when I saw you, I said it was now and never. And again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it has been my pleasure.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Ray. Hey, continued blessings to you and continued blessings to all your endeavors.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm DJ Dan, Soulful House Nation, coming to you live from the 8th floor. I am the unusual suspect. Hey, we're going to continue after this. We're going to do a replay of the Dance Free Zone. It's the Dance Free Zone, as you know, every week we play all brand new music. And we don't repeat any music. And hey, all the stuff that becomes big starts out small. So hopefully we can give it a little bit of push. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Chuck, you can take over at this point. Once again, Ray, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Same to you. Take care. Bye-bye.